have done the what is it called? The Harvest Heroes, and we started that on the first when we first started our casting the vision for the first of the year. I'll get it right there, and still takes me a bit to get all this 4 or 5 screen stuff done. Gotta look everywhere. Anyway, I've been talking about, one plants, one water. God gives the increase, sowing and reaping. When you sow bountifully, you reap bountifully. You sow sparingly, you reap sparingly. And we always talk about Galatians 6 and 7. And I always just use 7, but if you'd follow it up with 8, right? And here's what got me. Good morning, Nate. Good morning, Christy. I forget that we can chat on the YouTube thing here, so I gotta look at that screen too. So when you see me looking away, that's what I'm looking at. So I love with that too. So that's all good. Here's the thing. Of course, 6 and 7 says, "Be not deceived." God is not mocked. For whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. And that's real plain, right? In the literal sense, if you're gonna if you're gonna plant tomatoes, you're not gonna get a watermelon from a tomato. If you plant, you're gonna get a tomato. I mean, it's whatever you do. So in 2018, if 2018 was a bad year for you, what were you sowing? I mean, if you just reaping all kind of bad stuff, like if it was just all bad 2018, maybe you need to take a hard look at what you were sowing. I mean, seriously. Now, if you're in that season, you've heard me talk about the darker years, and I'm writing about that. Now, if you're in that season where you're still reaping all the stuff that you sown, but you've been planting good seed, well, your season's coming. Because verse 9 of Galatians 6, verse 9 says, "Let us not be weary in well doing, for in due season we shall reap if we faint not." Like I told you, the other shoe is not going to drop. That you will have the good harvest because you have planted good seed. The only way you stop that is if you quit planting good seed or you sow bad seed. I mean, that's the only way that cancels that out. But here, man, here is what excites me the most. This is what I got so fired up about. This should encourage you. Some of you might already know this, but I've ran over this and it just never clicked. And maybe some of you are the same way. That's why, listen, verse 8, right? Verse 8 is, for he that soweth to his flesh shall of the flesh reap corruption. But he that soweth to the Spirit shall of the Spirit reap life everlasting. I've never put 7 and 8 together. I've always left 7 at 7. What I mean is I've always left it for here. Whatever you're sowing here you're going to reap. No, we're sowing for life everlasting too. So you're sowing, you can either sow to your flesh or you sow to the Spirit. Which if you're sowing to the Spirit, here's what you're reaping. Life everlasting. Life everlasting. That's eternal. And I always said, man, I gotta live with the eternal perspective. I kept saying it, and I said it, and I said it, but I never really grasped. I never really was comprehending what I was saying until yesterday. Because when we're sowing, not only are we sowing here, we're sowing here as well, but we're sowing up there too. And it's like, wow. So imagine all the good stuff you're sowing here, you're sowing there. Life everlasting. Now, if you're sowing to your flesh, you're reaping corruption. You sow bad, you reap bad. You're sowing for selfish gain, you're sowing for this, here, your flesh. I've never put 7 and 8 together. And maybe some of you have, and that's cool. But for me, that was revelation. And I bet for some of you, it's just the same. It just hit you right now. You're saying, oh, wait. Wow. Because when I realized that, I'm like, man, all that good I've been doing is not just for here, it's for up there too. Which really fired me up. Because I'm like, oh man, I really got some good stuff coming. Not just what's coming here, but up there. Now I really can't wait to get there. Because now I know I've laid up some good stuff. Which makes me all the more want to keep sowing good seed. I'm like, wow. Yeah, I hope you're getting that. I hope you're getting that. Look, Galatians 6, 7, and 8, right? Be not deceived, God is not mocked. For whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. For he that soweth to his flesh shall of the flesh reap corruption. But he that soweth to the Spirit shall of the Spirit reap life everlasting. I'm all about life everlasting, man. I'm all about some eternal life. I'm all about that. I'm all about some eternal life. I'm down with that. I can tell you, I'm down with that. I am down with that. That's how I know the HLE Harvest Hero thing. It might be a little slow starting out the gate right now. But it's going to work. It's going to work. I guess there's some more on this coming too, man. I am, again, the goal is souls. This year, HLE Radio, the goal is souls. Everything we do, the end result has to be reaching the lost, period. No matter what we're tied to, no matter what we're doing. And it's going to involve Christian country. Listen, that is our medium. That is our vehicle that we use, Christian country. So HLE Radio is still going to be involved with Christian country music. HLE Radio is all about Christian country music. This is what God has given us, Christian country. God has given me a passion for Christian country music. He has. That's where my passion lies music-wise. Christian country. Has since the day I found it. And it started this. It's where it's been. But he's been working on the little round guy. Getting him to a place where he needs him to be so he can use him as he needs to be. But the goal is souls. Everything we do from this point on has to be about souls. It has to be about reaching the lost. Everything HLE radio is going to be involved in, the outcome has to be reaching the lost. If it isn't, then we've missed the mark. We have missed the mark. Plug for community coffee, by the way. That's what's in here. It's good too. It's good medium roast, man. I'm encouraged. You should be encouraged. I'm sowing, not only here, but life everlasting. Never realized I was sowing in the spirit as well as here too. So when you're sowing in the spirit as well. Or you're sowing in the flesh. So remember, the law, it applies to the just and the unjust. It's a universal law. It doesn't matter. That's why it says God is not mocked. Whatever a man soweth, that shall he reap it. The more you sow, the more you reap. The less you sow, the less you reap. And you can go along with the finances. You can go along with time. It's not just money. Although people get hung up on that. People get hung up on the money part of it. More so than anything. But you know what's truly more valuable than money? Is time. Find out where people are spending their time. That's more powerful. Or that's more sustainable. Let's see. Time. A person's time is going on. A person's time is more than their money. I mean, they would be more apt. Someone would be more apt to give money than they would time. Seriously. Okay. Let's say. Here's your option. We need you to volunteer an 8-hour day to, let's say, scrub toilets for some kind of mission work or something. Or if you don't want to scrub the toilets for 8 hours, give $200. I bet more people would give $200 than scrub the toilets for 8 hours. More easier to do that than to give the time. And comes in, time is money. Time is money. Time is more valuable than money to most folks. You want to find out what really matters to folks? Find out where they're spending their time. Lip service, you can say what you want. You can say you're this, you can say you're that. I see people say, I'm this, I'm that. But find out where, if you want to see what they really are, follow them. See where they're spending their time. Now listen, I ain't about being legalistic on anything. But I've seen people spout off about how they're Christian this, Christian that, and they go to church and do all this, but they spend more time in the casino and giving their money there than they do spending time helping the church and giving money to the church. I'm just using that as an example. I ain't saying wrong, right, one way or the other. I'm not getting into all that. I could, but I'm not. I'm just using that. You can say what you want to say, but your actions will prove who you are. It will show. It will. Listen, the HLE Harvest Heroes. I know it sounds To some, it might sound like it's daunting or whatever. Whatever that, even if I'm using that in the right context or not. But $100 one time for the quarter, and you get someone to match your gift, I'm telling you, HLE Radio gets to take care of itself. We get to hire someone part-time, which we need in here. And we get to take care of a lot of things that we need to take care of. Because now we've been basically 7 years. We're going 7 years here. We've been in here 9 years come February. We'll make 9 years of being in the building. But 7 years of being on the morning show come March. But I hadn't worked at the time that I was in here for the first year and a half. I was working for another radio station, so I had some income coming in. So from that time after that, there's been none. So it's been seesaw up. I mean, it's still, we still don't have much to cover the overhead every month as well. We keep growing. But the finances aren't growing with us. That changes this year. I really believe that changes this year because it starts with me. It starts with me because it has to start right here, the way I think. And that is part of this right here. That's why we have the HLE Harvest Heroes. That's why this is going to continue. I believe we can do it. We're going to talk more about it on the next break coming up as well. We're going to hear a lot more about it. We're going to be doing more about it. I got some more things coming up for the Harvest Hero thing too. Things that we're working on to go along with it. To give away for the Harvest Hero thing. As this comes together, this thing is a work in progress. I mean, that's the thing about HLE Radio. And has been, we're writing the manual as we go. Because this has never been done before. Seriously. Christian country radio station in a brick and mortar location ran as terrestrial has never been done before. We're the first. We're basically writing the manual on this. That's why there's a lot of people copying what we do. I get it. But you can't duplicate the original. Satan has tried for years. It's a counterfeit. There can only be one original. Always. Jesus Christ is the original and always will be. Galatians 6, 7, and 8. Man, I love it. So not only when we're sowing, remember, we're not just sowing. We're sowing to the Spirit as well when we're sowing good seed. You're sowing bad seed, you're sowing to the flesh as well. So it works both ways. And that's good stuff right there.
There's been many times I was all alone.
I love you. We'll talk more.
And many